One of the greatest quarterback matchups that we will ever see is on the way. I, in fact, have said it is the best quarterback matchup ever. Brady versus Mahomes. It's the GOAT versus the future GOAT. And yesterday, Tony Romo, who will be calling the game for CBS, shared these thoughts on the matchup. Quote, "There's a chance Patrick Mahomes playing this game to climb the ladder. If Mahomes wins, he keeps that door open as far as becoming the GOAT. If Tom Brady wins, I don't know how anyone can top him. Tom Brady is the greatest who has ever walked, and we are in the Super Bowl with the one guy on earth that most people would agree could possibly one day, 15 years from now, come into that stratosphere. I'm telling you, this game will be talked about forever." He knows how to sell a fight, Romo does, but frankly, there's very little in that to disagree with. So what do you think, Dan Orlovsky? We've had some pushback on that notion this week from Jeff Saturday in particular about the idea that Mahomes is the future GOAT. Do you think that this is GOAT against future GOAT next Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the heck Jeff is talking about either. Like, we can't have an opinion of who the future greatest of all time could be. Like, I know he said there's either a GOAT or not a GOAT, but like, we can also entertain the guys that have the potential to do it. I would say that when it comes to this weekend, Mahomes can't catch Tom Brady when it comes to Super Bowl wins if he doesn't win this weekend. And then he also cannot be the GOAT if he doesn't catch Tom Brady. If that makes sense. Like, he's not going to be able to surpass in everybody's eyes Tom Brady is the GOAT unless he chases down those Super Bowl championships. That's just the reality of how we look at the quarterback spot when it comes to career accomplishments. So this weekend is bigger than just the 2020 Super Bowl champion. Like, this weekend's winner, or this coming weekend's winner, is going to determine if Tom Brady is sitting at the top and no one's going to chase him down, or if Patrick Mahomes has, next weekend, if Patrick Mahomes has the actual chance to go chase down the greatest of all time when it comes to that. Because I'll say this, if he wins this weekend, and I think he will, he's going to go chase down Tom Brady's 6 Super Bowls.
Rob Ninkovich, what do you think? You won 2 Super Bowls with Brady. What do you think is at stake here as far as the legacy of these two guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with what Dan's saying as far as Super Bowl wins. And this is a matchup where if he does win this, he's going to have 2 under his belt. He's got a few more to go. I think I understand where Saturday is coming from as well. Like, how do you talk about a future GOAT? If there is the GOAT, how do you even say future GOAT? I understand a little bit what he's saying when he's talking about that. But you have to understand, to be the GOAT, you have to win in your 20s, in your 30s, and Tom's doing it in his 40s. So you have to be at least to 10 Super Bowls. I mean, that's like the at least 10 Super Bowls. And he's got 6 Super Bowl victories, Tom Brady. So if Pat Mahomes wants to surpass, he not only has to play well into his late 30s, early 40s, he has to be at or above the levels of Super Bowl wins and Super Bowl appearances. And he's young. He is young, and he's going to be to 2. So he's got a long way to go to surpass the things that Tom Brady has done.
Now, Graziano, you're one whose job is to chronicle these things. What do you think is at stake in this matchup?
Well, yeah, I think to Tony Romo's point, it's sort of like a division game, right, where you can either gain 2 games or lose 2 games at the same time. If he loses, then he's 2 years further behind where he needs to get, to catch Brady. So, and if he wins, obviously he picks up, he kind of doubles that up. So that's the way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, look, to Rob's point, what Brady has done is redefine it, right? Before Brady came along, who was the greatest of all time? We probably would have said Joe Montana for how much he won. Brady has taken it to a different level with how long he has performed at this level, and I think that's where Mahomes is looking way into the future for maybe a chance, if things continue, to someday get there.
The aging champ, the young contender. It reminds me of the barbershop scene from Coming to America. Rocky Marciano and Joe Louis. Marciano won that fight. If Joe Louis had won, it would have changed the dynamic. If Brady wins this game, it goes beyond debate. Coming up, the Lambeau Leap. How the Packers can make Aaron Rodgers a happier man. Plus, is all the offseason quarterback chaos good for the NFL? We're talking about that as we roll on. It's a Football Friday. Get up on ESPN.
Does this make you want a Reese's? Oh, how about this? Okay, we'll stop. Just kidding. We're not going to stop. Not sorry. Reese's.
Bowl 24, keeping it real with Damian Lillard. It pays to have range, like Bolt 24 antioxidant with vitamins A and C, Restore with 10 grams of collagen, and Energize with caffeine. All kinds of range.
Bolt 24.
Situation changed and moving his way out of Houston. And so if you are one of those who was wondering that, let me help you. Why might Deshaun be frustrated enough to force his way out of Houston? There are a lot of reasons, some of which you could see on the field. Let's unpack those. It starts with just how good he was this year. In the whole history of the sport, there are 4 quarterbacks who completed 70% of their passes for 8.5 yards per attempt over a full season. Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Drew Brees each did it once. In all of those 3 seasons, their teams won the Super Bowl. Watson just became the 4th. His team went 4-12. How could that happen? Well, first of all, they couldn't run the ball at all. Their running backs had the fewest rushing yards in the league. And then their defense was unimaginably terrible. Over the 15 seasons that ESPN has been tracking defensive efficiency, this year's Texans were 478th out of 480 teams. That is why franchise legend J.J. Watt apologized to his quarterback after the last game of the season. And remember, too, this is the franchise that traded away DeAndre Hopkins, who was first-team All-Pro 3 straight seasons with Watson. Hopkins went to Arizona and caught 115 balls this year. Now the Texans have very little opportunity to add talent. They don't draft until the 3rd round this spring because they traded 2 1s and a 2 to Miami for Laramie Tunsil. And the franchise's other legend, Andre Johnson, is tweeting warnings at Deshaun. That was the first tweet Andre has had in 2 years that wasn't an ad for something. So you ask yourself, what happens now? To a very large degree, the answer is whatever Deshaun wants, because his team may not have listened to him a month ago. But now that he has demanded a trade, that is something they absolutely cannot ignore. So that's the situation on the field. It goes well beyond that. We certainly know that much. And so let me bring in the crew to talk about that here. And Dan Orlovsky, I will start with you. We just went through the football stuff. And you pointed out earlier, you played on some bad teams with some good players. I'm sure they were frustrated, but never to the point that they demanded to get out. So clearly for Deshaun, this is about something more than that.
Way more than football. This is about Deshaun's soul. Like, this is about Deshaun Watson, the person. This is the same person that when he was growing up, work done in many ways saved his life, saved his family. This is the same guy that when he did sign his contract extension, got emotional talking about the family and the impact and the support from his family. So this is a guy that players in the NFL like revere Deshaun Watson as a player, and they look at him greater as a person. So once you cross that line to him as a person, that you've disrespected him as a human being, that's when he has these feelings that there is no going back. And I said this, Greeny, like the NFL should look into this. What happened? What exactly happened? Or what was said or communicated that got him to the point where he said, I do not care what it's going to take for me to get out of Houston. I am gone. The NFL needs to look into it because guess what? Other free agents coming, they're calling their agents going, I don't want to go to Houston after watching what they just did to Deshaun Watson.
I've heard the same that you have. Bart Scott, what do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, I think they let Bill O'Brien hold the organization hostage and really run it into the ground on his way out. And I'm from the same type of area as Deshaun Watson is from. You know, we all know his story. We know that Warrick Dunn gave him a house full of humanity for him and his mom. We know about that. But, you know, guys that are from places where I'm from want respect. And he wants the respect of the CEO of that organization. And you don't disrespect somebody from the organization by trading his #1 weapon without his knowledge. You know, let him be blindsided. You don't go out and then in turn say, hey, I'm going to include you in the conversations and then not include him in the conversation. You didn't have to take his recommendations, but you had to understand and let him feel that he was being heard, that his voice has power. Now, we can imagine Tom Brady. We can imagine, all the other premier quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers going out and saying, hey, let me know what's going on and keep me involved in it. And it's about the mirage, about the mirage that, hey, maybe you do have more power than you do have. But if you tell him that he's going to be included, then you have to actually listen to some of his recommendations, whether you hire who he wants to hire or not.
Yeah, look, I mean, respect is the thread of commonality. Aaron Rodgers, they went out and drafted his eventual replacement last year, and we see the problems that has caused. Rob Ninkovich, what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last that a player's been lied to. I've been lied to. Bart's been lied to. Dan's been lied to. When you're a football player, these coaches and management, they're just fluffing you up, and they're going to tell you what you feel like they want you to hear to keep you happy. And I think at this point, you can't put everything on Billy O. It's got to go up to the owners too, because that ownership level was the one that said, hey, you're going to have some input in the GM decision.